Nothing says woke world or cancel culture quite like a list intended to destroy people's careers. The latest lists, and there are many, focus on writers, actors, musicians, and artists accused of being Zionists or harboring Zionist tendencies. It's a lot of people, and it's the focus of a new piece I wrote this week looking at ways that the anti-Israel crowd is furthering their dubious agenda. There are the usual suspects, such as Israeli-born actresses Gal Gadot and Natalie Portman, who appear on an Instagram list from the group Blockout.22, which accuses the pair of supporting Israel and asks followers to teach them a lesson by blocking them. The Blockout.2022 list also includes everyone from the rock star Bono to Usher. They're all accused of supporting Israel, though the list fails to specify exactly why. There are plenty of additional unlikely list makers on X, such as Radiohead frontman Tom York. He's been branded a Zionist by the Zionist in Music X account for mounting concerts in Israel and voicing his opposition to a boycott of the Jewish nation. And then there's Keanu Reeves. Yes, Keanu Reeves is the most modest man in show business and a poster child for Hollywood civility. He's been declared a Zionist by the Zionist in Film X account. Reeves' great transgressions: he attended a party in 2014 where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was also present. He's also received training from an ex-Mossad agent for his combat scenes in the John Wick franchise. It also seems that Reeves failed to comment when the Israeli government used a pic from The Matrix in one of their X accounts last year. Note, Reeves didn't actually like or endorse the post. He probably had no idea it even exists. He simply failed to speak out against it, and for that, he's guilty of Zionism. The same sense of punitive overreach sets the tone for what must be the most ambitious Zionist exposing list yet. A heavily annotated, lavishly color-coded Google Doc detailing the supposed Zionist affiliations and adjacencies of dozens of well-known authors, including quite a few who are dead. It's similar in spirit and crowdsourced complexity with 2017's infamous media list, which detailed the sexual misdeeds of 70 media dudes during the height of the Me Too era, and ultimately saw its creator successfully sued for defamation. Simply titled, "Is Your Fave Author a Zionist?" the document features a rainbow flag's worth of categorized color coding: red for pro-Israel Zionists at one extreme, blue for pro-Palestinian anti-Zionists at the other. A trifecta of other shades in the middle. Those who are red should be avoided at all costs. Don't buy their books, stream their videos, or support their publishers. Progressive bête noire J.K. Rowling is firmly in the red camp, singled out for being pro-Israel for a while, as well as her controversial views on transgender women. She's also a TERF, so conversation is over right there. Read her entry. Also read is Taylor Jenkins Reid of Daisy Jones and the Six fame, who apparently posted pro-Israel content that had no mention of the lives in Gaza, amongst other transgressions. List readers are advised to avoid any support for Wild author Cheryl Strayed or Nicholas Sparks of the Notebook fame, both of whom are singled out for posting pro-Israel graphics. Curiously, James Baldwin is squarely in the OK category, but he's unlikely to care. He's been dead for almost 30 years. There's nothing new about lists and efforts to achieve social and cultural control. Back in the 1950s, J. Edgar Hoover maintained a secretive list of supposed enemies against the FBI, which he ran iron-fistedly for nearly 50 years. Similar lists existed in the era naming accused communists and homosexuals, which, as detailed in the recent Showtime series Fellow Travelers, were used as tools for blackmail, influence-peddling, and ruin. Clandestine lists, files, and dossiers played a part in the Rwandan genocide that claimed the lives of 1 million ethnic Tutsis in 1994, and periods of intellectual upheaval in China, Cambodia, and of course, Nazi Germany. In other words, name and shame lists are bad. They're arbitrary and coercive and intended to silence and intimidate. They're typically unilaterally designed with little chance for the accused to defend themselves. They're punitive and designed to inflict maximum harm with minimal foresight or oversight. In the case of Israel, the threats posed by supposed Zionist lists are particularly grave. The goals may seem noble and innocuous: end the bombings, feed starving children, but they're actually nefarious to the core. By focusing on actors and writers and others accused of being pro-Israel, the lists and their creators further the dangerous disinformation campaigns that have defined the entire post-October 7th era. They want to obscure, if not erase, Hamas as much as possible from their massacre against Israel. They want to distract the world from the plight of the Israeli hostages and place the entire fate of the Gaza crisis in the hands of Israel, rather than Hamas, which could end this war in an instant. Far worse, with their hyper-focus on Jews and Jewish allegiances, the lists seek to create a division within Jewry between supposedly good Jews who support Palestine and bad Jews who are Zionists and support Israel. Think about the pro-genocide and anti-genocide Jews Representative Ilhan Omar so blithely bandied about at Columbia earlier this month, and you've got the right idea. The problem is that while Jews might opt to opt out of Zionism, Hamas makes no such distinction. As their foundational charter makes clear, the only good Jew is a dead Jew, no matter which list they belong to. Self-indulgent and ultimately self-defeating, these lists are yet another example of the decadence and narcissism that's defined the entire anti-Zionist effort since October 7th. To see the full potential of secretive lists and files at work, one must only look to Hamas itself. A recent article in the New York Times detailed the extensive surveillance network the terror group deploys against its own citizens in Gaza. Hamas apparently built files monitoring the social media accounts of young people and journalists, deploying disinformation and intimidation tactics, and refusing to tolerate even a whiff of dissent from those who might disagree with its rule, according to the New York Times. Does that sound familiar?